Everybody, it's your pal Overland Metalhead here. Just finished a long 5-day working bender, 5 days in a row. 4 of them was early starts, so I just been going home after work most days, just getting to bed early. But then, like the habit is, like, I already get to bed early, then I get up at 11, fiddle around a bit for another few hours, and I fall asleep. Then I'm like, oh god, I gotta be at work at 7 o'clock today. So, we're going to go somewhere special today that has history in music in this town. Now, you might have the first few Queen albums in your collection. You might have Rush's 1980 album or one of the late 70s albums. You might have some early David Bowie albums. You might have that Tigers of Painting album with a big tiger acting like King Kong. So all these great albums were recorded at Trident Studios nearby. So I've got my maps ready, I've got my information ready, and so I'm ready to vlog this. I've got my phone out, I've got an internet connection. So today we're going to Trident Studios. According to Wikipedia, it was a British recording facility located at 17 Anne's Court in London's Soho district between 1968 and 1981. So some well-known albums and singles recorded at the studio including the Beatles' White Album, but also some of the White Album was actually done at Abbey Road Studios, as well as the single Hey Jude. Elton John's Count in the Wind, the original one, not the 1987 one, was recorded there. David Bowie's A Rise and Fall of Stardust, and Queen's first 3 albums, Queen, Queen 2, and Sharon Attack. Other artists that recorded at Trident include the Bee Gees, Carly Simon, Christopher, Frank Zappa, Genesis, Brian X, James Taylor, Joan Arm, Astrating, Joe Cocker, Kiss, Tigers of Painting, but surprisingly Kiss recorded here. Lou Reed, Peter Gabriel, his scratch album I think, Mark Almond, Mark and the Mambas, Soft Cell, Rolling Stones, Thin Lizzy, Tina Turner, T-Rex, Vandergrift Generator, Yes, also not so surprising, and John Elswick, and Whistle, yeah. So, later history. So they sold the studio in 1981. It was bought by a senior engineer, Stephen Short. And then in 86, Short bought the other investors and opened Trident 2. Yeah. But recently, in 2017, in June, a British Plaque Trust permanent blue plaque was unveiled outside the studios in recognition of the multiple David Bowie albums recorded there. I mean, normally you think of the blue plaques, normally you think you've got to wait 20 years until you can put a blue plaque up at someone's residence. That's 20 years after they've died. But then I thought, okay, well David Bowie's been gone for over a year, let's just put a blue plaque up in honor. Now we are at St. Anne's Court, CT. So we're gonna look for number 17. That's 27 over there. Be nearby. Yes. See, the one thing I'm not going to be running out of in London are recording studios where people have recorded classic albums. Even if they no longer exist as a studio, you can always see the front entrance of the building. So surprisingly, it's still working as a studio, which I thought was quite weird. Just called Trident Sound Studios Limited. Audio post-production, voiceover recording for TV, radio, multimedia. So maybe, even though studio albums are not getting recorded here, it still works as an actual studio. Trident Studios, Soho, London, Beatles, Hey Jude, Dear Prudence, Honey Pie, Martha My Dear, Savvy Truffle, I Want You, She's So Heavy. I remember this band Coroner covered that song. Black Sabbath, known as Earth, they recorded The Rebel in August 1969. George Harrison, My Sweet Lord, January 1970, just after when the Beatles split up. Well, I didn't really split up till like 1970, 71. Free. I remember Paul Kossoff, good old Paul Kossoff, I've been in his grave many times. Free recorded All Right Now. Lou Reed, Transformer, 1972. David Bowie's Space Odyssey, Changes, Life on Mars, Genie. Between 1969 and 1973. The Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers and Get Ya Ya Out, both in 1969. Queen, Seven Seas of Rye and Bohemian Rhapsody in Seven Seas of Rye was July 1973, Bohemian Rhapsody November 1977. The Plastic Ono Band, Cold Turkey, September 1969. Mark Bolan's T-Rex, Deborah, Ride a White Swan, Get It On, all recorded between January 68 and February 1971. Supertramp, Crimes of the Century, Carly Simon, You're So Vain. James Taylor also had some relationships with Carly Simon. Caroline on My Mind, July 1968. Harry Nilsson's Without You. I mean, Harry Nilsson used to live nearby. Harry Nilsson's Without You was recorded February 72. Ring of Stars, It Don't Come Easy, March 1970. Elton John, Your Song, Rocket Man, Crocodile Rock, Camera in the Wind, Saturday Night's Right. All recorded 1970, 72, and 73. Genesis, Trespass, Nursery Crimes, Trick of the Tail, all Peter Gabriel area of Genesis. Trespass, 1970. That's before the Phil Collins run behind the drum. Then Nursery Crime was after Phil Collins joined the band. And then Trick of the Tail, I think that was like the last Peter Gabriel-led album. Dusty Springfield, Crimes on the Table, 1970. Derek and the Dominoes, Tell the Truth, August 1970. Frank Zappa, Timeless Revenge, September 1970, and many more. Trident Studios. So up here, when I zoom in, it basically says David Bowie, 1947 to 2016. His albums Hunky Dory and The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the iconic single Space Odyssey recorded here at Trident Studios, awarded by BBC Radio London, part of the British outside Trident Studios in Soho, London. Here's a list of partial discovery of albums that were recorded here. You had Ace, How Long, 1974, America's self-titled album America, excuse me, hair. The Bee Gees' Odyssey album in 1973. The Boomtown Rats, I Don't Like Mondays in 1979. I've mentioned David Bowie a lot. Cass Elliot, The Road Is No Place for a Lady. Then off Peter Gabriel's 1978 album titled Peter Gabriel, often referred to as Scratch. So then Genesis, they recorded a lot of their albums here, along with, then there were three, but unfortunately my internet's like dropped out and stuff. Finally got my Wi-Fi connected again. They recorded, so many bands have recorded here, Beatles, Bee Gees, Odyssey, a couple of early Mark Baldwin T-Rex, the Boomtown Rats, I Don't Like Mondays, as just mentioned David Bowie, Free, I also mentioned Peter Gabriel's 1978 album, often referred to as Scratch. You know, he recorded his first four albums under Peter Gabriel, but the album artwork basically describes like the alter ego of the album. Genesis, they recorded Trespass, Nursery Crime, Selling Above Pound, Trick the Tail, Wind and Wuthering, Seconds Out, and then there were three, so that was a combination of Gabriel and Collins' led era. Elton John recorded here between 1970 and 75. Judas Priest, Stained Class. That's an album I've never really listened to, but it's made famous because of the cover Spooky Tooth, Better By You, Better Than Me. There was a stupid subliminal message case, and there was two teenagers in Reno committed suicide. Well, one of them blew his brains out, and the other one survived, then died of a drug overdose a few years later. This because they all thought they heard the backmask of Do It. Mott the Hubble, Lou Reed, Transformers, Rush, one of my favourite Canadian bands of all time. They recorded Hemisphere and Permanent Waves here. Carly Simon, when she recorded You're So Vain, I guess that was off the album No Secrets. Can't find anything on Yes. Like, there's nothing listed on Yes here. But Tigers of Pantang, a classic new album, new wave for British heavy metal band. They recorded Crazy Nights. Thin Lizzy also recorded Nightlife here. And James Taylor also recorded his self-titled. This has been my 5th time being outside recording studios, vlogging in London. I mean, if you go back to my vlog of August last year, I was vlogging outside 4 studios where Queensrÿche recorded their first album, The Warning. So now I've just gone back there. So now on my days off, or my afternoons after work, I'm going to start finding more studios to look into. I mean, I reckon there's about 25 to 100 studios in London that have a bit of history in them. I mean, they might not all have blue plaques and all, but, you know, they're worth it. Look, it's a bit of history. Mary Seacole, a nurse who was in the Crimean War, she lived here. You should look that up on a bloody Hare Krishna knobs. It's like, remember the sketch of the sketch show? The guy says, do you fancy pints? And he says, is the Pope Catholic? And it's got the Pope like following the Hare Krishna idiots. Hilarious. I mean, a lot of people told me about the whole Hare Krishna of people. There's people who join that cult. They're kind of been former drug abusers and shit. But, you know, there's a saying of the striper goes, Jesus is just